Dad has me, 18 male, and his wife has Ellie, who will be 18 in a week. Dad married his wife when I was 10, but they met and moved in together a year prior. My mom died when I was a baby. I was her only kid. My grandma, aka Mom's mom, died recently, and I found out she had left a sizable amount of money for me. My aunt was the one who mentioned it. She told me Grandma wanted me to be okay, since I had lost my mom so young. The money's enough that I could pay for many years of college and have no debt out of it, but I decided to attend a community college near my aunt and cousins. My stepsister's also starting college, and she doesn't have much money, so Ellie's mom said I should split the money in half and give Ellie one half as a B-Day gift so she could have a good start in life. She said my grandma should have considered her anyway, seeing that Ellie and I grew up together and became brother and sister at a very young age. I said Ellie had nothing to do with my grandma, and why would she have her inheritance over her other daughter and grandkids? Dad asked me if I would be open to sharing my money with Ellie, and if I would be willing to help her. I said no. Ellie flipped and told me I was supposed to be her brother and stop any favoritism. I told her it couldn't be favoritism when she's not related to that part of my family. Ellie and her mom are saying I'm wrong. Dad hasn't, but he said it would be a good family move to share and to think of Ellie and how she's the only sibling I'll ever have. He knows I don't consider her my sister, so he doesn't push it as much, but he did bring it up. Ellie and her mom have not let up in the last several weeks. I moved in with my aunt to escape the whole thing, but it kept coming, making me doubt everything. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your stepsister isn't entitled to the money, and your maternal grandmother didn't consider your stepsister a granddaughter either. Otherwise, she would have left her something. If I were you, I would tell your father to make this clear to his wife and stepdaughter and not interact with them until they understand that they're not entitled to your money and that it's unfair to keep confronting you about it. Ask what Ellie's relatives are leaving you in their wills, then give her the same amount of money. Hint, it's going to be nothing. I'd also ask Ellie's mom in what way she prepared for your college, as a family move and all. This is your gift, and the most important thing you can do with it is use it to build and secure your future, just as your grandmother wished. Agree, and make sure your dad does not have any access to the money or your bank accounts. If their love is conditional on you handing over your inheritance, what kind of love is that? You don't owe Ellie anything, and the way they're approaching this is wrong. If I were you, their attitude alone would have made me decide not to give her a cent. It's not up to your stepmother to decide what your grandmother should have done. It's not your stepmother's money. However, your grandmother did what she should have done, which is to give her own money to whomever she wanted to, for the reasons she felt were right. I'm sure your grandmother would not have want you to be bullied and guilt-tripped into giving away the money she meant for you. Of course, your dad's new wife and daughter have nothing to do with your grandmother. Shame on your stepmother for even trying to manipulate you emotionally. Ellie has 2 parents who can pay for college and 2 sets of grandparents. So stay at your aunt's and go no contact. I, 34 male, was supposed to be a groomsman at a wedding for 2 close friends, but I recently backed out 2 weeks before the scheduled ceremony because the bride and groom did not wish for my wife to attend with our son. My wife gave birth to our first child 3 months ago and has been recovering at home while also looking after our son. I stayed home the first month and a half with her, but had to return to work due to my paternity leave ending. The couple getting married are close friends of both my wife and me, and we've known them and the groomsmen and bridesmaids for years. My wife was even supposed to be in the wedding party before she found out she was pregnant. The soon-to-be bride and groom have been very gracious and patient with my wife's and my schedule leading up to the wedding, and I've tried to be fair and contribute as much as the others. However, my wife was very excited to attend the wedding, and we've been planning on bringing our son, as my wife and I are not yet comfortable leaving him yet. I didn't think this would be a problem because it wasn't a child-free wedding, but recently, both the bride and groom reached out to me to request my wife and I leave our son and not bring him to the wedding. I explained that we were not comfortable leaving him, specifically my wife, and the bride and groom suggested my wife not attend the wedding if she's not comfortable leaving our son yet. I told them I thought that was unfair, considering other people in the party would be bringing their children. Still, they said they'd singled us out because they don't think weddings are for babies, and they also are worried about disruptions during the ceremony. I told them that if my wife and son weren't welcomed, then I would not be attending. Now the bride and groom are claiming I've disrupted everything, and I even have other friends who are also a part of the party reaching out to us for us to resolve the issue. I don't plan on changing my mind because my wife was so excited to attend the wedding, and I feel we were unfairly singled out. You are the idiot. I really don't think this was an unreasonable request. Your son is a baby. Babies cry and fuss, often at unpredictable times. The chances of your baby disrupting their ceremony are much higher than a well-behaved 5-year-old. If the baby starts to fuss or cry, your wife will have to leave and miss the remainder of the ceremony anyway. You are the idiot because you're essentially throwing a hissy fit, assuming you're being singled out. You're not. You're probably the only ones with a baby. Your wife's inability to leave your son is her problem and yours, not the bride and groom's. So you're wrong to expect that everyone will accommodate you and your wife because you can't leave your kid with a grandparent for an evening. You should also have checked all this more than 2 weeks ahead of time, instead of assuming everyone would accommodate you and then flipping out when they don't. I disagree. I think OP is not the idiot. This is why. The bride and groom have known for roughly a year that OP and his wife would have a very young child on or around the time of their wedding. They did not make the wedding child-free, and at no point when OP contributed to the pre-wedding events did the bride and groom say, "Hey, by the way, we know the wedding isn't child-free, but we don't want your baby there." No, they waited until 2 weeks before the wedding to spring this on OP. I'm a 30-year-old father of 2. I want to say happily married, but the last year has been a very, very bad period for my marriage. It appears to have started with my mother-in-law, who's the only grandparent our kids have. For a while, she has treated me like all I should do is provide, and my wife appears to have jumped on that bandwagon. I got told I should leave the parenting to my wife. I was told to let her quit her job and work all the hours I could so she could be a stay-at-home mom, even if it meant I never see my kids. My wife and I have had discussions about this, but every time I think progress is being made, we go backward. We both grew up without fathers. Hers bailed before she was born, and mine was far more complicated. But let's just say I had no positive male role models growing up around me, and my home life was toxic and not so great. So I feel like my wife and mother-in-law's experience has influenced what they want and expect from a father. They see fathers as providers more than people involved in the kids, and don't understand that I don't want to miss out on my kids growing up. They're toddlers now, and I've only been there for stuff like first steps and words because I don't do as they say I should. But my mother-in-law especially has said that stuff is for mothers, not fathers, and when I was there for those moments, I could have been working to provide for my family. On Friday, there was another fight like this. I got home from work at my normal time for bath and bedtime with my kids, and mother-in-law said my wife could do it and I should be working. My wife spoke up for once and said the kids loved me doing it. But Saturday came, and my wife tried to pitch this idea that she had for staying home, me working more, but maybe getting some time with the kids on the weekends. We argued, and I poured my heart out to her. I expressed all the hurt I felt at being pushed out. The whole thing was raw for me because we had talked before, but I was never as hurt or angry about it as Saturday. I stepped away in the end so it wouldn't become worse. Then yesterday, I don't know if Saturday got through to her, but she appeared apologetic. She did apologize, and she brought the kids into bed before I woke up so I could snuggle with them first thing. It was maybe the first time I felt like she wanted me to spend time with the kids in a long time. But then she invited her mother, and I didn't want to have Father's Day ruined. So I announced I was taking the kids, who weren't coming with us, and left with them for the day. Mother-in-law was angry. My wife was upset but said she understood, but her upset only made mother-in-law angrier. I feel bad for not trying to work through something with my wife first. Part of me was just scared Father's Day would be ruined for me if I didn't just go with my kids. Am I the idiot? Not the idiot. Your mother-in-law is toxic and will keep pushing you and your wife. You're absolutely right to take a step back. Most wives would be happy to have a spouse that wants to take an active part in parenting their children, especially when they're that young. Heck, you taking them for a day gives her a day to relax. You did nothing wrong. Your mother-in-law, on the other hand, not so much. Your mother-in-law is on a mission to destroy your family. Your wife needs to distance herself from her mother until she can think independently and not get influenced by her mom's destructive relationship advice. How do you tell anyone to devote themselves entirely to working with no family or social life? What's the point of having a family if you do this? Get married and have kids just to become a willing ATM? That would be a sad existence. So many mothers would pray for a partner like you who wants to parent the kids. I would tell your wife that such expectations are laid out before having kids so that you could opt out and find a sensible partner who wants equal modern division of roles. I also suspect your mother-in-law was at least part of why your wife's father went MIA. Update. My wife and I have talked a bit today, and we're going to start marriage counseling together. And she has told me she would start to distance herself from her mom a bit so we can focus on our marriage. I, 36 male, have 2 young boys. I'm engaged to Millie, 31 female, and we have a great relationship. My kids like her a lot, and vice versa. We always have fun together, and they call her Aunt Millie. They live with me about half the time because my ex and I share custody. My mom was at my house the other day to spend time with us. We were having a good time. Then Millie got a package. It was a piece of antique art. She's a collector, and she left to get it ready for her display case. Soon after, my elder came in and asked me to help with his homework. So I excused myself and went to sit in the living room with him. My mom gave this odd look but said nothing, so I didn't question it. While my boys played outside, she asked why my fiance didn't help him, since I was clearly busy with my mom. I was surprised and said Millie was busy too. Besides, my son asked me for help and not her. She tooted loudly and said, "Well, what's the point of getting a new wife if she's not going to help you parent your kids? She better step up fast if she wants to be a mother to them." This blew my mind because not only was it incredibly rude, my boys already have a mother. My ex is a great parent and the only one they'd ever call mom, and Millie and I aren't even married yet, so she technically isn't their stepmom. I told her that wasn't necessary. Helping with homework is hardly parenting, and I'm their dad, so parenting them is my job. I also clarified that had my son asked Millie for homework help, which he never does, she would have gladly helped, but that again, she was busy, and he asked me. My mom said, "So she just expects to sit on her butt, polishing her trinkets while you bust your back around?" I lost my temper and politely told her to get out, as I could hear my kids coming in and didn't want a scene. She was affronted but left in a huff. Mom told the whole family. A few extended family members are on her side and say I overreacted. Dad called me and took no sides, but assured me my anger was justified since he knows how my mom gets. Millie's glad I stuck up for her, but feels guilty for what happened and wishes I'd gone in and asked her to help my kid so she could prove to Mom that she's willing to do those things. She said I shouldn't have kicked Mom out before she had a chance to talk it out with her, since Millie is going to be family and we should all get along for the sake of the boys and any future kids we have. She said that now there's family drama about her before she's even married into it. I firmly feel like I did the right thing here, but seeing her stress gives me pause. I reassured her that she'd done nothing wrong, would make a fantastic stepmom, and that my kids love her, but my mom does not get to say she needs to parent them. My kids don't need or want another mom. They just want their friend/aunt. Should I have given my fiance the chance to talk to her before kicking her out? Am I the idiot? Well, what's the point of getting a new wife if she's not going to help you parent your kids? LMAO, what? There's so much more important to marriage than parenting children. Not the idiot OP. Millie's only upset because she's scared it's her fault and she doesn't want to make waves. Reassure her it's not her fault, that it's okay if there are waves, and that she will always be the priority no matter what drama ensues. I understand her anxiety, but don't cower to bullies just to alleviate anxiety. It'll only cause more in the future. Does your mother hate your ex or something? It's so weird that she's trying to replace your ex's legitimacy as a mother to your shared children. Has your mother criticized your fiancé for other things before? Was she hypercritical of your ex and/or any other women you've been involved with? It sounds like nothing will make a woman good enough in your mom's eyes. However, I wonder if she would have had an equally irrational response if the reverse had happened. For example, if your fiancé was helping the kids with their homework, would your mother have then criticized that as overstepping? Everyone's the idiot. Your mom is the idiot. But why did you need to tell your mom to get out instead of just ending the convo? I felt that your reaction to it was a bit overboard. Your kids calling your fiancé aunt is unusual, though. Update. Am I the idiot for kicking my mom out of my house after she tried to get my fiancé to parent my kid? So as some of you suggested, I drew clear boundaries with my mom, explaining who parents my kids and why she was in the wrong, with some success. She acknowledged she shouldn't have insulted Millie. Then she demanded that I admit I was wrong to make her leave like that. Well, I said I didn't believe I was. She promptly texts that she's no longer coming to my wedding. She's willing to reconsider it if I apologize for my rudeness. Now, my mom's done dramatic things like this before, and they always end up being empty threats, but only because someone placates or coaxes her. I don't think apologizing was right. Poor Millie was distraught, but supported me 100%. She offered to apologize if I thought it would help. She suspects that since everything was going fine until she excused herself, my mom pulled this because she thought it was rude. Knowing Mom, I can't rule this out. However, I told Millie she had nothing to apologize for, and my mom was wrong to say it regardless. Worth mentioning, she didn't apologize for how rude she was about Millie, nor did I demand it. My dad told me apologizing was totally up to me, and that he'd be at the wedding regardless. Sister suggested I fake an apology just to get her to the wedding, then start going low contact right after. Not the worst idea, but I dislike being fake, even for an apology. I'm trying to teach my boys how they should never give half an apology when they know they're in the wrong. I feel something similar applies here. I respectfully told my mom that she could decide whatever she liked for the wedding, but that she wouldn't get an apology from me. Instead, she hung up in my fiancé's face and hasn't contacted me since. Been almost 2 weeks. To be honest, I'm over it. I do love my mom. She's done right by my sisters and me in other areas, and I did want her there. But I need to protect my family, and she did this knowing it would hurt them. The wedding's 3 months away, so this is salvageable if it should be salvaged. But the only reason I wouldn't now is for my kids and Millie. The boys love their grandma and will wonder why she isn't there. Millie plans on this being her only wedding, as do I, LOL. And it's important to her that all our family attend. But she's accepted that this may be a blessing in disguise if the only way we keep my mom in our lives is by bending the knee at every turn. One silver lining is that some of the extended family, who was previously on my mom's side, have decided that she's now being unreasonable. They apologized and will be attending the wedding now. A few of them still back her up, but oh well. What matters is that I'm marrying the love of my life, and no one there will talk crap about her for doing nothing wrong or criticizing my parenting. Thanks for the update. It sounds like you found a winner in your fiancé. Congratulations on your upcoming nuptials. Have fun. The only one with regrets would be your mom. If you give your mother an inch, she will take a mile. You must establish right at the gate that you will not tolerate this behavior. Apologizing will only encourage it. You apologize, then in 2 weeks she gets angry about something else, and you have to apologize or else. It's a never-ending cycle with some people. Best to stop it early rather than late. I doubt she'll waste her mother of the groom entrance at your wedding, but a civil low contact sounds like a good idea. Congratulations and best wishes on your marriage.